Just English Podcast.
Most people believe that to evolve, you need to talk more, share more, show everything you're doing. But the truth is, that's slowing you down. While you explain your plans, share your ideas, seek validation, there are people who simply disappear. And months later, they come back, completely different. No announcement, no noise, no audience.
They just vanish?
They vanish, and this isn't luck. There's a pattern behind these people, a way of working that almost nobody sees, but it makes any kind of growth happen faster. And when you understand this, one thing becomes clear. It's not about doing more, it's about doing in silence.
In silence?
The problem is, today there's constant pressure to show everything. You start something, you want to post. You have an idea, you want to share. You take a step, you feel the need to prove to someone that you're growing. And at first, it even seems good. You get attention, approval, that feeling that you're on the right path. But there's a side effect almost nobody notices.
What side effect?
When you talk about what you haven't built yet, you trick your own brain. It starts to feel like you've already made progress, even without doing the real work. And little by little, you exchange real progress for the feeling of progress. While you're doing that, there's another type of person, someone who doesn't talk, doesn't explain, doesn't try to prove anything. They only show up when they've already changed. And that's why their growth seems so crazy.
I want to understand this.
Good. But first, let's say hello to everyone. I'm Zoe.
And I'm Alex.
If you're enjoying this conversation, hit that like button and subscribe. We post new episodes every week. All right, so here's what almost nobody understands. When you talk about your goals, something happens in your brain.
What happens?
Your brain gets a reward, a small hit of satisfaction, like you already did something, even though you didn't. It's called social recognition, and it feels good. People react, they approve, they encourage you, and your brain reads that as progress. But it's not progress, it's just a feeling.
So my brain thinks I already succeeded.
Exactly. And when your brain feels satisfied, the urgency disappears. You don't feel that push to actually start because you already got the reward. This is why so many projects die before they even begin, not because of lack of ability, but because of too much validation too early.
That's sneaky.
It's very sneaky, and most people never notice this. They just think they lost motivation. But the real problem is they traded action for approval. Now, look at the pattern. The people who talk the most about what they're going to do are almost never the ones who actually do it. They announce, they explain, they justify. And without realizing it, they spend energy trying to look committed, while the people who actually build almost never comment. Not because they're mysterious, but because they're too busy executing.
So there's a difference between wanting progress and wanting recognition.
There's a huge difference. One is focused on the process. The other is focused on the reaction, and that changes everything. If you want to grow without depending on motivation, there's a simple principle that changes everything. What you build in silence grows faster.
Why?
3 reasons. First, it's mental. When you don't talk about what you're doing, you don't get that fake reward. So all the energy that would go into talking goes straight into execution. And over time, that becomes a massive difference.
So silence keeps you hungry.
Silence keeps you hungry. The second reason is focus. Every time you share something, you open the door to other people's opinions. And even if you don't notice it, that starts to influence your decisions. You adjust your path. You change your rhythm. You start thinking about what they'll think, and suddenly you're not in control anymore.
So other people's opinions slow you down.
They slow you down. When you work in silence, you don't negotiate with opinions. You just do what needs to be done, and that keeps progress clean, direct. But the third reason is the most important: invisible consistency.
Invisible consistency?
Invisible consistency. Most people only move when there's external pressure, when someone is watching, when there's accountability, when there's validation. But that's unstable, because on the day nobody's watching, they stop. Now, think about someone who trains, studies, works without anyone knowing. That person doesn't depend on applause. They created an internal pattern. And that's what really transforms someone. It's not intensity for one day, it's silent repetition over a long time.
So it's about building a system that works even when nobody sees it.
Exactly. And that's the difference between people who change and people who just talk about changing. Now, if you want to apply this in your life, start with 3 simple adjustments. First, stop announcing. Anything you want to build, keep it. You don't need to tell anyone. You don't need to show. You don't need to explain. Just do it.
Just keep it quiet?
Keep it quiet. The second adjustment is create a minimum daily ritual. Something small, but something you can repeat every day, even without motivation. Because it's not about doing a lot. It's about not breaking the cycle.
Consistency over intensity?
Consistency over intensity. And the third adjustment is eliminate the need for validation. If you feel the urge to show, that's exactly when you hold back, because that's the point where most people break. And that's why so few people actually evolve. They want to seem before they become, while others simply become.
So it's about protecting the process?
It's about protecting the process. And when you combine these 3 things, silence, execution, consistency, the result is inevitable. You change. And the most interesting part? People only notice when it's already too late. In the end, growing for real has nothing to do with what you show. It has to do with what you do when nobody's watching. Because it's easy to seem disciplined for one day. It's easy to get motivated for one moment. The hard part is repeating in silence. No applause, no recognition. And that's exactly what separates people who change their lives from people who just talk about changing.
So there are 2 types?
There are 2 types, the ones who seek progress and the ones who seek recognition. The first type works in silence, repeats daily, builds without announcing, and months later, they show up completely different. The second type talks first, posts everything, seeks approval, and wonders why nothing changes.
And the difference is internal?
The difference is completely internal. It's not about talent, it's not about resources, it's about where you put your energy. Do you put it into looking committed or into actually being committed?
And most people choose looking committed.
Most people choose looking committed because it's easier, it's faster, it feels good immediately. But it doesn't build anything real. While silent work builds foundation, slowly, invisibly, but solid. And when the foundation is solid, nothing can break it. All right, Alex, let's connect everything we just talked about. What's clicking for you right now?
Honestly, a lot. The whole thing about my brain tricking me, that hit hard. Because I've done this so many times. I announce a project, people get excited, I feel good, and then weeks later, nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Why do you think that is?
Because I already got the reward, just from talking about it. I didn't need to actually do the work because my brain already felt satisfied.
Exactly. Your brain doesn't know the difference between social progress and real progress. It just feels the dopamine hit and thinks, we're good here.
So all that energy I spent explaining my idea, justifying it, getting people hyped, that energy should have gone into actually building it.
That energy should have gone into building it. And here's what's wild. The people who actually succeed, they don't waste energy on that step. They just skip straight to execution.
They stay quiet.
They stay quiet, not because they're mysterious or trying to be cool, but because they understand energy conservation. Every word you say to explain yourself is energy that's not going into the work.
And when nobody knows what you're doing, there's no pressure to perform, no expectations to manage. You're just free to work.
You're free to work. And that freedom is where real progress lives. When you stop performing for an audience and start building in private, everything accelerates.
I can see that now. It's like two different games. One is about looking committed, the other is about actually being committed.
Two completely different games, and most people are playing the wrong one without even realizing it. You know what happens after you work in silence for a while, Alex?
What?
Something shifts internally. You stop feeling the urge to tell everyone what you're doing.
Why does that happen?
Because you start to see the cost. Every time you explain, you lose a little bit of focus, a little bit of energy, a little bit of control. And once you see that pattern clearly, you can't unsee it.
So it's not about forcing yourself to stay quiet. It's about naturally not wanting to waste that energy anymore.
It's about naturally not wanting to waste it. Before, you thought, if I tell people, it becomes more real. But after you experience this, you realize,
If I do it, it becomes solid.
if you do it, it becomes solid. Exactly. And that shift changes everything. Silence stops being a strategy and becomes your default state.
And when people ask what you're working on,
You just say, I'm working on something. No drama, no big reveal, no need to convince them it's important.
because you're not seeking their approval, you're committed to the process, not the image.
You're committed to the process, not the image. And that's an internal thing, Alex. External motivation comes and goes. It depends on who's watching, who's commenting, who's validating you.
But internal commitment stays, even when nobody's watching, especially when nobody's watching.
Especially when nobody's watching, because that's when you know it's real. That's when you know you're not performing, you're building.
I think that's the difference between people who change and people who just talk about changing.
That's exactly the difference. So, Alex, if you take one thing from this conversation, what should it be?
That silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. It's protection. It's commitment.
Silence is commitment. That's perfect. Because the true sign of growth isn't what you announce, it's what you can build without needing to announce it.
Day after day, even when nobody notices, even when nobody applauds, just showing up and doing the work.
Just showing up and doing the work. And if something here made sense to you, take this as a personal agreement. Not with me, with yourself.
What's the agreement?
Do the work. Protect the process. Let the results speak when it's ready, not before. Not to impress people, but when it's actually solid.
Results first, talking second.
Results first, talking second. Always in that order. And if this kind of growth, calm, constant, real, is what you're looking for, then you already know why you're here.
I do know. This is exactly what I needed to hear.
Now, if you want a practical next step, I left something in the description. It's simple, direct, and it'll give you a clear path to apply this every day.
And if this changed how you think about growth, subscribe. Because this isn't about quick motivation. It's about real evolution.
And tell us in the comments, are you the type who talks about everything or the type who works in silence? I'm genuinely curious.
Me too. I want to see how many people recognize themselves in this.
Same. And Alex, here's the thing. We're not done.
We're not?
Not even close, because there's something we haven't talked about yet, the actual pattern, the system that people who evolve in silence use.
The invisible system?
The invisible system. Almost nobody sees it, but once you see it, everything clicks into place. You understand why some people transform while others stay stuck.
And that's the next video.
That's the next video. When this one ends, it'll already be on your screen. It continues exactly from here, the secret pattern behind silent success. No noise, no promises, just the next piece.
If this made sense, don't stop now.
Don't stop now. See you in the next one.
See you there.